It's 6:01 and a half.
We're going to call this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Williston City Council. It's Tuesday, April the 16th. It is 6 p.m. And I will ask Ms. Scarborough to please call the roll.
Mayor Charles Goodman. Here. Council President Deborah Jones.
Here.
Vice President Michael Cox.
Here.
Council Member Meredith Martin. Here. Council Member Zach Bullock. It's not here. Council Member Darkness Hines.
Here.
City Manager Terry Bavard.
Here.
Attorney Kirsten Ballou. Here. City Clerk Latricia Wright. She's absent.
Okay. I would ask all other staff members to please chime in.
Present.
Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate everyone's attendance tonight. At this time, we'll stand for the opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance by the Mayor.
Thank you, Madam President. Join me if you will. Lord, we come together tonight as a community to try to do the business in our community. And Lord, I thank you for each and every person that takes enough interest in their community to attend these meetings. I know they're not always pleasant, but Lord, we live in a country where we have the opportunity to participate in our government. Let us never forget that. And Lord, I ask you to be with the police department. Each officer puts his life on the line with everyday activities. Something as simple as a traffic stop can turn into a piece of tragedy. And Lord, I ask you to be with the fire department. Help them to always make the right decisions and to stay safe. And Lord, specifically, I thank you for each one of these counselors who spend the time and do the work and the sacrifice of their time to help our city to grow and to prosper. I ask this in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, we're now to item number 1, which is additions, deletions, changes, or approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair.
Miss Attorney.
We would request that items F, G, and H be tabled. Item G, the zoning change, we need to get it re-noticed. Send it back to P&Z just to make sure we check all of our boxes. We've discussed with the applicant, and they'd like to have all 3 heard at the same time, so we'll bring them all back in front of you when item G is ready again.
Okay. Did we ask Mr. Corey Lamb at all? Did somebody consult with him?
Yes.
You
and
did,
we've discussed
and he was
with
in
council.
agreement with that? Thank
Correct.
you so much.
F, G, and H. F, G, and H. Correct.
Yes. All right. I would entertain a motion for approval of the agenda with the tabling of those 3 items.
I'd make a motion that we approve the addition, deletions, changes, and approval to the agenda.
Those changes?
Yes, with those changes.
Okay. All right. Do I have a second to the motion?
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Let me just say that if the people that are here want to discuss that at some point during this meeting, we will open discussion for that, because I know a lot of people are probably here for that. And unless I have an objection from the attorney.
I think now that it's not on the agenda, I believe that you can have it during public
Thank you
participation.
very much. I feel the same way. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We will go to item number 2, which is public participation. And this is the time when you can discuss something with the city council, with the city staff, that is not on the agenda. You have up to 5 minutes to do that. So if you would like to add anything or discuss anything that is not on the agenda, this is the time to do that. If you do, please come to the podium. Mr. Pinkston. Mr. Mills, Ms. Scarborough, if you will turn that clock around so I can see it, please. Thank you very much. That's perfect. Come to the podium, if you will, sir. And just state your name and city of residence for the record.
Dan Pinkston. Do not reside in the city, but have several businesses within the city.
Williston. Yes, sir.
Coming to ask city council might need to revisit your stance on, I just got my utility bill for the car wash the other day. I knew rates were going up, but I did not know it would go up 200%. I'm used to in a world where we're used to 5%, 10%. When we get a raise at work, we get a 5 or 10% raise. How do you budget for a 200% raise? That's on sewage. That's on water. How do you pass that on to the customer? I just want y'all to rethink that. You might want to look at redoing that again. Because, like I say, 5%, 10%, and I heard rates were going, but when you get the bill, you go, wow, over 200% increase. That's just in 1 year. That's a hard bill to swallow. So I want y'all to
Yes,
really
sir.
think about that. Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. Any comment from city manager? Or are you going to leave it at that?
Well, I will say that, I've talked to Mr. Pinkston in my office several times, and, we are looking at some options. Of course, as he knows also, I have a very narrow lane that I have to stay in, and, hopefully we'll be able to help him out in his business and maybe some other businesses that are water-based, so to speak. I don't know the exact terminology I'm looking for because, we not really sure how far we can go or what we can do. So we are meeting with him, included him. We will continue to meet with him. He's not the only business. There is the Triangle Laundromat in town has the same issue. We will be more than happy to do whatever y'all would like us to do. Come back, give you some numbers, let you know what's going on in other municipalities, how they're handling it, if they're any different, and then we'll be glad to do the will of the council. So
I would also add that we've had some discussions about recreational facilities that also have need for large volumes of water. One of those nonprofits has actually spoken to us as well. So we're taking that into consideration too. Anybody else at this time have something for the council's consideration or something you'd like for us to consider? Don't be shy.
One is
If you will, state your name for the record, even though I know what it is.
Vernon Bernard,
Thank you, sir.
Williston, Florida. In reference to the water bill, we have the community resource. We have a big garden out there. Our garden bill went $10 for no usage. We do the same thing. I think to $84. Now, something don't seem right about that picture.
There's nothing compared to his $1,100 one.
But it's the same. It might not be.
Yeah,
But percentages,
It's
yes,
bad.
it is a lot.
it is.
And
Yeah.
I think the city needs to readdress that. I mean, I don't know why. I can see double, maybe even triple. But 800%? That makes no sense. I mean, and I'm sure I've heard from other people in the community how much they like it. Their water bills went up.
Yes, sir.
Something ain't right. Something needs to be addressed.
Appreciate it.
And are we here? Can we discuss the school that Michael Lamb had? I mean that Corey Lamb had. This thing?
If you, maybe we should wait till the end on that one. Don't guess it really matters.
It doesn't really matter.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Okay. Now, when they presented this thing to the school, I was there first night to the citizens who met at the church, you know, and they painted a good rosy picture, which I asked them about security. Okay, they said 2 people. I said, wait a minute, how you gonna control this thing with 2 people, unarmed guard?
Police chief said the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, come on, it don't work that way. And the other thing is, they put in a rosy picture of wanting to just grow the marijuana, not process it. Okay. Now, it's my understanding that the county, that property's in the county. My understanding that the county turned them down. So I want to know, why is the city so eager to bring them in under the circumstances? Now,
Yeah, let me just say that it's my understanding that the county didn't have a proper zoning classification for them.
well, did you all? I think y'all had to rewrite y'all, didn't
Not yet, but
you?
we're still
well,
talking about it.
well, wait a minute. How can you go forward to? Why
I
are
mean,
you going?
if they call it ag, which is what they requested, we don't have to rewrite it.
Okay, that's a good thing on ag. Now, on the agricultural exemption, Florida statute here, 823.14. If you read it, have y'all read it? Have y'all looked at it? Have your attorney looked at it?
Oh, we probably have, but I don't know it by that number. Is that the Right to Farm Act? What is it?
Right to Farm Act.
Oh, yes, sir.
Right.
Absolutely. I'm very familiar with it.
Okay. Now, first of all, did you all offer them a special exemption to where it would be?
Did we offer them a what?
Did you offer them a special exemption?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, that's
They didn't ask for one.
very nice hearsay. Okay. Now, the reason why they want to change this thing to agriculture, as you know, if it's changed to agriculture, the way I read this statute here, after 1 year, they can do whatever they want to do with it. Am I not right?
Yes, sir. You are right.
All right. So what's going to stop them from doing processing? Huh? And all the people out there in that area, I don't think nobody wants that.
No.
I mean, I don't think the city doing due diligence enough to notify the citizen, and on behalf of this company, of putting all the facts out there.
That's why we did pull it from the agenda tonight, because we agree with that statement you just made.
Yeah. I mean, those things need to be brought out, and the city council need to, y'all need to step up. I'm just telling you like it is. It's not fair to the people. Not fair. That's all I got to say.
We agree with you.
I'm Willie Battles.
Yes, sir.
And I second that motion.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else at this time? I will say there's another participation for the public at the end of the agenda. And it doesn't look very long now that we've taken these 3 things off. So you can either speak now if you have something else to add, or you can wait till the end. Yes, sir. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Cameron Smith. I live within a stone's throw of the old school. It would be a disgrace. It would be a disgrace to this council. It would be a disgrace to the city to bring this type of business here. There is no reason for it. I think we can do a whole lot better. I don't know if any solicitation has been done for any alternatives or not. But I don't want this in my backyard. Actually, it will be in my front yard, which is right across the street.
Okay.
I oppose this. Everyone that I have spoken to about this, the research that I've done, and I'm so glad Mr. Bernard brought it to your attention, in which you said that you were already aware, which is a good thing.
We've done our research since the last meeting, too. Or at least I have. I'm sure they have, too.
These people are awful. And he mentioned after this year, the environmental effects could be terrible. astronomical. You're shaking your head.
I don't know that it would be an environmental effect.
It would be terrible for the citizens in that area.
Oh, I could agree with that.
It would be awful.
I know that it would be environmental.
So I will say this right here. I will say this. And for them to tell you that all they need is 2 people on a golf cart to secure this place. Look, we don't need it.
You don't have to convince us.
Okay.
We said that last time we were here.
So I would say this as I leave the podium. Let's not be on a second reading or approaching a second reading and having to address issues like this. Let's do due diligence up front before before it's proposed to you. Let's notify the citizens. Let's do our homework.
Yep.
That place out there has so much history. It has so many people. I can look out there and I can see the seesaw.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore.
Right.
The basketball court that Mr. Whitehurst put up is no longer there, but I can remember those times. I can remember the baseball games and the softball games in that community. Now, I understand this chain of ownership from the county.
School board.
Which is the county. So I'll say this. I'll say this. If you choose to replace it with something, Mr. Bovard, let's do it better. Let's pick someone better. Let's find a hotel maybe. Maybe what have you thought about a hotel?
We talking to Mr. Lamb, not us. We don't know. Have any interest in that.
Look, I understand that, Ms. Jones. I understand that. And I understand I need to talk to you instead of Mr. Bovard. Okay, no problem. I get it. I get it.
You're good. Go ahead.
Here's the thing. Here's what I would like to see. I would encourage you to do some meetings. Go do some meetings or something like that. And get some input, because I'm going to tell you right now, I am going to be in touch with Mr. Lamb. I believe one of my buddies might be interested in maybe a hotel, and a conference center. But he simply didn't even realize the property was available. But I'll be speaking with Mr. Lamb. If anyone knows him, tell him to call me, please. I don't have his phone number. Yeah. I will be glad to speak with him. Thank you for your time.
Let me just explain to you too that because of sunshine laws, things are put on our agenda by our staff, and this body cannot discuss those things with each other until we are in a meeting. And we saw this when our agenda came out Thursday 2 weeks ago. It's the first time we ever saw it. It can't have discussion by us with each other. We can discuss it with staff, but not with each other because of the sunshine law of the state of Florida. So we have to discuss it for first reading. That was our first opportunity and the first time we saw it. And since that time, as I said, a lot of us have done research on it. And I will add Mr. Fuller in there as well. Mr. Fuller has done a lot of research on it. Mr. Fuller and I have talked at length multiple times since that. And I'm happy to hear that it's going back to planning and zoning, because he is the chairman of planning and zoning. So I think he will, if in fact it goes back, I think we will get a better product when it comes back to us, if it does.
Well, I won't ask to reclaim any of my time, Ms. Jones, but thank you guys.
Yes,
okay?
Sir.
Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else at this time? Yes, sir. If you will, please state your name and city of residence for the record.
My name is Alan Alexander. I'm a former resident of Williston. I now reside in Bronson, Florida, and I want to address the town council. I've met some of you, and I passed by and left some material information I am the community liaison person for Meridian Healthcare. And what I do, I'm working underneath the FEMA grant from last year with Hurricane Idalia to identify those survivors which are still struggling, whether it be financial or material-wise, because we're right here at hurricane season now. And my grant's going to be lasting through the end of probably September. I'm out of the chiefless office, and we carry the 3-county area. And like I address is I like to have people who are maybe friends, neighbors, relatives that are, like I said, still struggling. We have those resources available. I have 5 crisis management people that can work one-on-one with those folks to kind of get them back on their feet. Now I can be reached. I have some handouts which are out front,
Okay.
flyers and information.
Yes, sir.
But it's Meridian Healthcare, and we're located in Gainesville, Florida.
I'm a former board member.
Thank you.
I believe in it very much.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming tonight.
Thank you.
Anyone else at this time?
Jimmy Gooding, 1531 Southeast 36th Avenue, Ocala. I represent the applicant on the items that were pulled. And I just want to comment on what I've heard here tonight and ask a favor. The decision to pull the items was, pull the zoning items was based upon the fact that there was a snafu with the notice.
It's a technicality. Right?
Technicality.
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree with Ms. Ballou's decision on that. And because of that, we requested the other items be pulled too, so that y'all could consider this at one time. I have heard, however, some things that I've never heard before that I would appreciate hearing before we come back, and that is the statute that Mr. Bernard, I think, cited, that says after a year we can do anything with the property that we want to. I'm unaware of any provision in zoning law that says after a year you can do anything you want to.
It's the Right to Farm Act.
Yes, but it has nothing to do with our zoning code. If you ask your attorney that, I think she'll agree with me.
Well, if it's changed to agriculture, it applies. It wouldn't apply any other way. I don't believe.
I will be glad to look at that. But what I'm asking is to be aware of things like that. I'm really glad that he stood up and said that, because I'm going to look at it too, and I'm sure your attorney is as well. I've heard that that these are horrible people. I'm going to ask Mr. Smith to stick around with me afterwards to find out what he knows about my client that I don't. We're interested in coming here. We want to come here. We hope that you want us to come here, but we would like to know the issues that we have with people. I'm going to ask Reverend Battles and Mr. Bernard to stick around too, so that we can talk, because we had a neighborhood meeting and I thought things were going swimmingly. I guess I'm glad that that the notice may have been messed up so we can find out about this stuff. But all I'm saying is that we would like to know what people's issues are and hopefully find out about them before we get to another public hearing. And I'm also hoping, I'm kind of asking a favor here. I'd plan on leaving after this. Not that I don't like sitting at city council meetings, but I did that quite a bit at Ocala. So I was going to leave after this round, but if people are going to have public comments, it'd sure help this Ocala boy if they come up to it now as opposed to later.
It is on tape as well, so if you have to go back and listen, you can.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Anybody else for this particular time? All right. Anybody online, Mr. Mills? Nope. Okay. So I think we will continue at this point. We're going to go to item number 3, which is our consent agenda, which consists of the council meeting minutes of April the 2nd. I would entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and second. Is there any discussion from anyone? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 4 is updates. At this time, we will start with the city manager, Terry Brevard.
Thank you, Madam President and Council. So I'll try to be brief, just give you a couple updates. As you know, we're the SRF loan. We'll be bringing it back to you. We talked about that earlier. So we're probably will make it on the next agenda for that to happen. To give you an update on the line of credit loan, with Seacoast. So I've been informed by our representative over there that the documents are through Mr. Puget's office, and he's now ready to send it over to our attorney's office. So I'm hoping and praying that we will get it on to the next city council for y'all to review and look at. I will tell you that I'm on my final review of the Towns of Williston Developmental Agreement. I'm hoping to have that done and sent over to the developer for their review. Just a little reminder that, you know, we the staff get together, put it together, goes back and forth, and unfortunately it takes 3 or 4 months for us to get where we're happy, and then it goes to the developer, and normally they have a pretty quick turnaround, and then we come back to y'all once everybody's in agreement, and y'all get a bite of the apple to make sure that everything you're seeing you like. And that's the format that it works in. Also, the golf cart signs, my understanding is southeast, there are some signs that are up and bagged. We should have that done pretty shortly. And then it's my understanding by the next city council meeting, we'll have moved into the northwest and hopefully doing some work there. My one and final thing, and I'll be more than happy to take questions, is we will be meeting tomorrow with GFL representatives to discuss the contract coming up, and myself, Selena, Megan, and a few of the staff that are involved in that daily, like Megan, will help try to draft that new contract as we move forward of what it looks like. Now, it's a renewal, so it's a renewal of our existing contract, but I'm going to encourage some changes to that hopefully will be to the council's liking. I could cover some other things, but I'll be more than happy to take any questions.
I would just point out for the audience that the townhouses of Williston, the towns of Williston are townhouses that are being built in the southeast section of Williston. And GFL is our garbage provider. So that's what that is. So if you have any questions on those things, this is the time for that. Any council members have questions for the city manager?
You can always let me look at that garbage contract, you know, if you need help with it.
I would be happy to. Actually, we have 2. We're reviewing our previous vendor, and we'll have the other one. So I will, I'll talk to you right after the meeting, if that's okay, Mr. Bullock.
Thank you. All right. So we will move at this time to the staff members. Anybody in the back have anything by way of an update? Mr. Barber.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that April 15th through April 19th is National Work Zone Awareness Week. That's just keeping in mind that when people are on the side of the road working anywhere, whether they're in the county or the city, to just be careful and be aware of them. They have families and they have lives to get back to, so just slow down and just be aware of the people out there doing that sort of work.
Chief Rawls.
Quick reminder, this week is Telecommunication Week. So thank your wonderful and great dispatchers when you see them. Also, Thursday is the Law Enforcement Memorial at the Bronson Courthouse at 10 o'clock.
Okay, 10 o'clock. I wish it wasn't in the middle of the daytime when people are trying to work, but appreciate knowing when it is. Miss Jones.
Thank you.
For the record, Miss Jones and I are not kin to each other. I've seen a lot of that on Facebook, that we are a family unit here and that we agree with each other and constantly do. If y'all don't know us, we don't always agree with each other. And we are not kin to each other at all in any way, shape, or form. Ms. Jones.
I just wanted to remind everybody we're about a year in since we've had our animal shelter. We had our grand opening April 28th last year, and we are just so appreciative of all the support we've had, especially from City Council and our citizens, and just remind everybody that we have the shelter. We have a lot of stray dogs there right now that we believe are somebody's. We just can't seem to find their owners. So we are here. If you call City Hall or if you call WAG or if you call police, they'll all give you our numbers so you can pick up your dogs. We have 4 right now, and we believe at least 2 of them are looking for their mamas that are probably looking for them as well. They just don't know how to reconnect. So thank you all for supporting us for the last year. We appreciate it. We made it.
Thank you for that. Any other staff member at this time? Okay, we'll move into the council members. Any questions or updates that you need? Sorry.
Just a couple of things to kind of piggyback off some things that were said up there. One of the things, is Corey still the owner of this property, or has it been
No.
Okay.
No,
So
that's one.
what I was reading kind of confused.
That's actually
me
one
as to
issue that I
whether
have
or
with
not.
moving it to ag now because
Okay.
he's not ag.
Right. Okay. Secondly, I think it would probably be a good idea for us to think more about having a town hall meeting when there issues arise that are going to affect the public, as this issue and a previous issue has. That way you can possibly get people to come and have a discussion there, and you get a feeling or an idea of where everybody stands, as opposed to, having it here in session.
Let me
It
comment.
also will allow us to have time to do the research that is needed
Digest it.
in order to make sure that we are making the correct decisions for our citizens.
Let me comment that we knew they were having a town hall meeting wherever they had it. I believe it was at the church, but I don't know that for a fact. Staff offered to go, and they were told they didn't need to attend. We offered to host it here at City Hall, and they said no, they would have it there. So we tried.
Okay, so
I agree with you.
I live over there.
I agree with you 100%.
And I was not privy. So everybody that's in the community may not have gotten that notice, even though you guys did.
No, the people that were holding
I
the
did
meeting.
not.
I didn't get a notice. The
Okay.
people that were holding the meeting, we asked them if they wanted to have it here.
But you were aware of a meeting, right?
I was, because I heard it through the grapevine.
Well, can I get attached to your grapevine? No, that's true.
I can't talk to you
No,
about those things.
but seriously, I'm just saying, I was not aware, which in this case, I probably didn't need to be there anyway. But I'm just saying that maybe we need to look at having town hall meetings when things of this magnitude are addressing our citizens.
I agree 100%. And we, like I said, we tried.
I do just want to interject super quickly on this, that just a reminder, this is a quasi-judicial matter that comes before the Planning and Zoning Board. It will come before you, all quasi-judicial, which essentially means that you all take sworn testimony, you sit as judges, and so really trying to limit your ex parte communications is really crucial and key here. So not that these discussions can't be had, but that these discussions maybe as a predicate to get everyone ready for the quasi-judicial hearings which are held on this, which is really the appropriate format for those discussions, because you all are not permitted to take into account when voting anything that wasn't presented to you in those quasi-judicial hearings. Okay, so if we have a lot of discussion about this prior that you all are involved in, you'll end up conflicting yourself out of the vote, and then we're sort of up a creek with no paddle.
And I think it was staff members who offered to go. And
Right,
they know more about
which-
it than I do. I only heard about it.
Which is what I understood. I just
yeah.
wanted to make sure that I remind us all of just really trying
Yeah,
to
we don't
keep
need
that
to attend such a thing, is what you're saying.
limited.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on your list? Looked like there was.
No, that was it. I was just trying to understand what it was that she was saying. To go to an outside meeting that somebody is having, I understand, but I was saying as the council that we hold ourselves.
That we
a meeting.
advertise
But
and
if
hold it.
that is not appropriate, then I understand.
So even advertising and holding a town hall meeting is not appropriate?
It would not be appropriate because it's not the quasi-judicial proceeding. So you
All right.
you need to take all of those. Yes,
It's not part of evidence collecting?
I would not
has
recommend
to
it because
take
it
place
gets
here.
very messy,
All right.
and it becomes an issue of, is all of it moved on to the record? Had you already made up your minds before you got into the quasi-judicial proceeding? It just casts a lot of shadow on the decision that you all make in the quasi-judicial hearing, which is why it's not my recommendation. Is it a, dagger to the throat? It depends on the circumstances, which is why I always recommend we do it in the quasi-judicials.
Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir, you can if you come back up here and state your name again. Start that clock for me, Mr. Bills.
I won't need it this time.
About this particular subject.
About this particular subject.
Yes, sir.
Marion County, Alachua County, Duval County.
They all have the same rules we do.
And they have meetings all over the county about issues that affect citizens all the time. So I have no idea the thought process or the legal knowledge, and I will not question Ms. Ballou's legal knowledge, but that seems kind of asinine.
It seems like they could be conducted by staff members, even if we weren't allowed to go.
No.
You're seeing council members and commissioners?
When you see meetings in Newberry about an issue, then you see some in Micanopy about an issue, or the villages, or whatever the city is, or whatever the issue is, they talk about it. They meet and they talk about these issues. To say that it would be a negative for this council.
We're not saying it's a negative. We wish we could
Ms.
do
Ballou
it.
just told you that.
Oh, no, she didn't. She said we couldn't do it.
Oh, she said you couldn't do it.
She didn't say it was a negative, because we all want to do it. It would be a positive. We just can't do it.
That's even worse, don't you think?
I do. We agree with you.
Good night.
We don't like the rules. We hate the Sunshine Law, because it prevents us from doing a lot of things that we could accomplish things better.
I find it critically necessary to make
yes, please.
a distinction.
Yes, go ahead.
And some clarifications. My firm represents Newberry and represents Micanopy. So I'm intimately familiar with the procedures that are followed in both of those municipalities. I will assure you that my recommendations to those municipalities are exactly the same as my recommendations here today to you all, and consistent across the board in all of our municipalities, as a first point. And as a second point, there is a lot of confusion, I think, that surrounds quasi-judicial matters versus matters that are not quasi-judicial. It is very common for commissions and councils to hold workshops and meetings regarding things that are not quasi-judicial. It's a very specific set of actions that a council can take that fall into that quasi-judicial category. Those things are more restricted. We recommend that you do not have those outside meetings for those particular matters, but there are many, many matters, many more matters than not, that you absolutely can have these kinds of meetings for. So I do want to just make sure that that is very clear.
And I will say we have public workshops all the time, and nobody comes. All the time. We put it in the paper, we put it on Facebook, we put it on everywhere, in the newspaper, we put it everywhere we can think to put it. On the bulletin board outside, we have public hearings. Like all this, the water issues, we had public hearings. We had many, probably 6 or 7 public hearings. We had an entire workshop where all the experts that had to do with water came and talked to us and the public about it. Come to the podium. It has to be recorded.
Back to water. We knew the rates were going up. We didn't know they were going up 200%. That was never publicized.
It wasn't 200%.
We went through that bill the other day.
We did. Yours went up, but yours has a lot to do with capacity as well.
Right, but I'm just saying.
I mean, with the volume of water that you
like
used.
I said, we saw that the water was going up, and in the back of your mind, you said,
yeah,
I trust this is going to be 5-10%, not 200%.
But let me just say, rural water, who are the experts who get the grants out to help you repair and increase and extend your water lines and your sewer lines, they wanted us to go up twice as much as what we really did. We've had this conversation.
Well, I understand that.
And we did the best we could, and still, because they won't loan us money if we didn't go up.
I just wish the fire department would give me a 200% raise. I'm just saying, the raises, how we raise things, inflation runs what, an average 2, 3, 4%, 5%?
Yes.
But it's just when you get a whack at 200% in 1 year.
It wasn't 200%.
What was the percentage?
Somebody want to tell me back there? I know Mr. Barber probably has it in his head.
So again, like you said, Madam President, it had to do with capacity. So a commercial increase would have been vastly different from a residential increase. And there are certain commercial operations that are exclusive in their business to water. For example, like an ice machine.
I'm one of them, right.
Or a car wash. Or a laundromat. And so what we're working on currently, under the city manager's direction, is to go back to those agencies that helped us come up with those particular industries in mind, and say, okay, how do we get these on irrigation so we don't have to count sewer? But all of this has to be done very carefully because we can undermine the ordinances that we have. And as you just mentioned, we have an SRF loan that we desperately need. And if we had not done these rates, most of the staff was in meetings with people in DEP and SwiftMud that clearly said, you guys aren't getting a loan unless you do these things. Right. And again, I also want to remember that we've mentioned in the workshops quite a few times, if this had been done over a period of 15 years, we wouldn't have had a significant increase. These were ignored for 15 years, and that's the reason why the jump is as significant as it was.
Well, the rate before was what, 20?
Was billed per 100 gallons,
right,
and it was around 35 cents. And the current is around $4.45 per 1,000. So that is not a 200% increase. Now, that's the first tier. Tiers are based on consumption of gallons, so 0 to 5,000, 5,001 gallons to 10,000, and so on up to over 20,000. And the state requires the higher tiers to be more because we are a state that works on an aquifer, and we are running out of water, and our population is exploding. And so they're promoting a conservation of water, and that's what the tiers are for. So the third and fourth tier, you double, triple, and quadruple how much per 1,000 gallons that you're charged. And it's designed so that you don't use those higher gallons of water.
Can you turn that off, please? Thank you.
The chart that I was handed by the city official right here, it was 23 that it went to 60-something, whatever scale they use.
That's the base rate. The base rate is different than the consumptive rate. Everybody pays a base rate for their meter and for if you never turn on the water, what it takes to maintain the lines in the ground. The consumptive rate is the flow of how much water you use. Those are two totally different charges.
Right.
Okay, the bill I got last year was $1,100. The bill I got this year, same month, is $3,600.
That's not the bill I looked at. The bill I looked at. Is that the bill we looked at? I don't think so. I thought the bill was $1,100. It wasn't. The rate did go up 200%. It feels like it, though. That's for sure. And we're working on it. We told you that we would. They don't. They didn't. I mean, they did. They did. I can tell you, Mr. Fuller was there. We had a room full. But there were none of the businesses were there really. And they're the ones who did an assessment of our rates and our. And if you're going to keep talking, you have to come back up here because it has to be recorded. It had to be. They did a whole assessment of our system, as well as what our water plant and sewer plant needed, and the fact that we hadn't raised rates in 12 years.
Yeah, and that's you're the rate. You do the rates, but to throw it at 200, let's just say 150% in 1 year. It's
not a percent. It was a totally different way of calculating water. Mr. Barber tried to explain that.
Okay, well, explain to me $1,100 bill a year ago and then $3,600. I mean, I'm just that's my simple math.
Because it's now based on
that's how I work math.
It's now based on the amount of water that you use.
Are we using that much water? More water? Right. So that means structure and pricing changed. The price has changed.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else that has to? I don't even know where we were, y'all. Staff. Oh my goodness, we're still on staff. We did. Anybody else got a question up here? Who asked that question? I can't remember. Mr. Fuller asked that question. Any other questions, Mr. Fuller? Mr. Cox.
Yes. I've seen some things on the news because our news comes out of Orlando. And they've had some things they've talked about golf carts. So I'm wondering if we can periodically put safety tips in with our utility bills so people can read them about not having a 10-year-old kid driving a golf cart out on the road.
Yeah, totally illegal.
It's right.
Yeah.
But to have different safety tips, the do's and the don'ts. Just curious.
Chief, can you come up with that? I sure ball of wax. You're the one who's going to give them a ticket. Thank you. Great idea. Yeah.
Right. Well, in this
Well,
instance,
if they don't know what the ordinance says and what the state law is, because our ordinance is modeled after the state law.
Yeah. In this instance, it was a 10-year-old kid who parents let them drive it on the road, golf cart, failed to stop, and got killed because of on traffic passing by. Wow. And so I just was thinking about it and thinking, you know, we should do safety reminders and just tips of the do's and the don'ts. Right. Especially, you know, to have parents educate their kids is, hey, you can't be on that golf cart. You can't be driving. You know, so.
Maybe a flyer that's inserted, not just a little line on the bottom of the utility bill. Do they charge us extra to put an extra sheet of paper? Even one sheet?
Yeah.
How much?
I can find out. So they do. The question was, do they charge if we do stuffings inside? I hate to use the word stuffings, but if we stuff inside the utility bill, there is a charge. What the charge is, I don't know, but I can come back to the council and give it to you. But there is a process for us to do that. I think Mr. Cox is right. We could probably put some stuff on Facebook, maybe even the web page. I'm sure there's some stuff out there that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's already ready to go, canned, that we can probably implement pretty quickly. That is one of the benefits of having Stacy here. Is that's one of the programs we're looking for her to launch and do a little more with. And so we will definitely get on that right away. And like I said, the stuffings are just a matter of whether or not we want to pay extra to have that done.
And I think we were planning to do that. We were just waiting for all the quadrants to get their signs. Because right now we still have 2 quadrants that aren't able to drive golf carts. Chief Rolls.
And I do believe I sent you the safety video and pamphlet that they use down in the villages.
You did?
So, city manager, if you're going to give it to Stacy, or I could send it to her or you. Okay. All right. They've got all the rules. So
You still have it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and this needs to be double checked against our ordinance.
Right.
To make sure it's the same. Anything else, Mr. Cox? Ms. Martin? The only thing I have is I'm back to that building uptown. I want to know when you're going to tear it down. Yeah, I'm looking at whoever wants to answer that.
I'll answer the question. So we had the couple of serious incidents with the force main break and a few other things. We also have the golf cart sign project quadrants that we're trying to finish up. We were trying to wrap up a couple of those projects before we began another one. The other aspect was, as Jonathan mentioned last meeting, we were trying to make sure that we could save the city as much money, and if DOT is willing to cooperate with us, they could close the road, they could take care of the permitting. Because we're so close in proximity to 27, we have to take some precautions. So if we do those ourselves, there's going to be some income, or some expenses, required. So the opportunity to work with DOT, they have not gotten back to us, to my understanding. We are waiting on some answers from them. We will call again. I know that Jonathan's put in quite a few calls to them, and every time we speak to them, they're just checking with their higher ups to see what they're able to do. If council really wants to hop on it and not wait for DOT, just understand that there could be some expenses, additional expenses that would be part of that.
No, we just need to get it on their timeline.
Correct.
And ask them to help us. Yeah. Okay, that's every time I look at it, that's what I think of. Still there. All right, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a couple of things. First thing is I want to caution the council against trying to do traffic enforcement. Get with your police department. As my chief of police has already said, he has the information. We don't, as a city, want to start getting into warning people. That's the job of the police. Their traffic enforcement, their law enforcement. We should instruct them and allow them to do it. Now, on a lighter note, I want to thank everybody who showed up for Peggy O'Neill Park cleanup. I want to thank the city workers who showed up. And we had a wonderful time. I had Girl Scouts there. I had lots of citizens there. The park has just, I have had a number of people come to me and thank me so much. And I've had other people say, what's going on at the park? So it has taken notice. People have seen it. I have citizens that after we had our cleanup were so inspired that they have been going to the park and continuing to maintain the plants and to upgrade and to keep up on the plants. And it has just been a wonderful experience, and I thank the Utilities Department for helping us, and all of the citizens and the Girl Scout troop especially that showed up to clean up our park. We hope to continue to do this to other parks, but you got to start someplace, and we started there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That sparked a memory, but I can't remember it. It went out just as fast as it came. Okay. I think we'll move on. Anybody else for the good of the cause? Anybody thought of anything else? All right, we're going to move to item 5, new business. Resolution 2024-50. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, approving surplus of certain equipment to the Williston Municipal Airport deemed unneeded by airport staff. Approving a sealed bid auction for said surplus equipment. Authorizing appropriate parties to sign any documents required to effectuate same on behalf of the City of Williston, and providing an effective date. Ms. Hars.
Hello. So we have 3 jet porters that we had acquired through the GSA that we paid, like, I think $75 a piece for them. After doing some research, we learned that it was going to cost close to probably $20,000 to get them in working order. So we have decided that it would probably be best to just part ways with them. So we're going to surplus them.
Have we had them long enough that we can legally sell them? I know we got them from surplus, right?
Yes,
we
ma'am.
have. Good, good, good.
Yes, ma'am.
That was the only question I had. Anybody else have a question? If not, I'll entertain a motion for Resolution 2024-50.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-50.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any further discussion from anyone? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item B, Resolution 2024-51, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, approving the United States Department of Transportation Federal Aviation Administration Grant Agreement. FAA Grant Number 3-12-008-7-026-2024, Williston Municipal Airport. Construct terminal building, final phase, authorizing appropriate parties to sign any documents required to execute such agreement on behalf of the City of Williston, and provide an effective date. Ms. Hars.
Okay, this is an FAA grant that was recently awarded to us. It was actually a very competitive grant, and we are one of only a few airports in the state of Florida that were awarded this grant. It's an additional $500,000 that we are able to apply to the new terminal building. We are going to use them towards the portico and repaving the asphalt around the new terminal building.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Hars? Mr. Mayor.
Is this a grant to use however you choose, or is it a matching grant? Any information you can provide about the grant?
It's part of the bipartisan infrastructure law. I'm not 100% sure on the details, but I do not think that we can just use it wherever we want. I think it was, it had to be allocated to the terminal project.
To the terminal project.
Yes, sir.
But there was no, it has to go for this or that on the terminal project, correct?
I believe it's just for the building. Over here.
Hi.
Hi.
It's written right in here. I'm trying to find the page number.
Yep.
Go ahead.
It's
I did
for
read
the terminal building itself for the construction. So as long as it's related to that item, as long as it's related to the construction of the terminal building, then that's appropriate. To your question of whether it's 100%, there is an upcoming item,
right,
where FDOT covers the remainder of the project that's not funded by this FAA grant.
If I remember, it's a 95.5, and FDOT is paying the other 5%.
Okay, so here's my concern. You said part of it was for the portico.
Yes, sir.
Is that part of the building?
Yes, sir.
It is
Yes, sir.
attached to the building?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because porticos can go a lot of places.
Oh, yes, sir. No, this one is attached to the building.
Okay, thank you.
And there wasn't one originally. That's why they had to get additional money for it, because it wasn't originally there.
Correct.
I remember Benton saying that before. All right, so I can't even remember. I don't think we have a motion yet.
You called for one?
I'll entertain a motion for 2024-51.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2024-51. Resolution 2024-51.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any other questions? Good question, Mr. Mayor. All right, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item is C, Resolution 2024-52, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, approving the State of Florida Department of Transportation Public Transportation Grant Agreement for physical project number 442505-4-94-24 regarding the Williston Municipal Airport, construction of new general aviation terminal, authorizing appropriate parties to sign any documents required to execute such agreement on behalf of the City of Williston and providing an effective date. Pages 50 through 89. Ms. Hars.
Okay, this is just a second part of the resolution we just discussed. As Ms. Ballou said, the FAA grant is a 95% grant with a 5% local match. This resolution is that the FDOT is covering that 5% match.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Hars? All right, I'll entertain a motion for Resolution 2024-52.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-52.
A second.
I have a motion and second. Is there any further discussion from anyone? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item D, Resolution 2024-53, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, approving the attached landlord's consent to assign for a lease agreement currently with Dennis Molman to be assigned to GTC Services, LLC, authorizing the City Council President to execute the consent to assign and provide an effective date. Ms. Hars.
So this is hard stand number 2 out at the airport. It's now known as Revolution Aviation, formerly known as Team Tango. The owner, Dennis Molman, has decided he wants to sell the hangar. Mark Womack, a representative of GTC, is actually here tonight if anybody has any questions, but his company has been in contact with Mr. Molman, and they have come to an agreement that they will purchase the hangar.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Hars? I'm glad he's here. I did look up the company and saw that there was only one man's name on the division of corporations. So what, you obviously don't build Team Tango airplanes. So are they, my question I guess is, are they leaving?
I'm sorry, I did leave that out. My apologies. The Revolution Aviation has, they have plans to relocate to Arkansas. They have a gentleman who is investing in them.
Okay, and you can, I know it doesn't make any difference, but what do you plan to do in this hangar?
Yes, ma'am. Mark Womack, High Springs, Florida. GTC Services is my business partner, Roy Candidate, the name
Right.
that you saw.
Yes, sir.
He's my business partner in another aviation company that we have, where we currently operate one aircraft with multiple partners. And most of our operations are back and forth to the Bahamas. It's privately owned. And what Roy is looking to do, we're looking basically to house all of our aircraft in one location. Under my other company, I've been out at the airport actually since 2018, leasing a hangar. So we're trying to get all the birds back to one nest, so to speak, to use some aviation terms there. And that's where this opportunity presented itself, where my partner said, well, let's purchase this hangar, and then we're actually looking to build on, because that is a large parcel of property.
It is.
We're looking to build a larger hangar and provide more opportunities for larger aircraft to come in and to help sustain, ongoing purchases of fuel. I think our aircraft last quarter purchased approximately 20% of the avgas volume at the city of Williston Airport. So we're looking to increase that quite significantly over the next few years.
Okay, so it's mostly for aircraft storage.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's just what I needed to hear. Thank you very much.
I like hearing all that other.
Yeah, me too.
It's good
That's
stuff, you know. And if I could just take a moment to, Madam Chair and Council, to just commend Benton and Kelly and the rest of the staff out there at the airport. I've watched this airport grow. I've been in aviation a long time, and there's a reason why people are coming here.
Yeah.
And you know, the FBO building is just going to make it a little bit nicer for everybody as well.
Exactly. We appreciate you coming tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions for him? All right. Then we will entertain the motion then for resolution 2024-53.
I make a motion that we approve resolution 2024-53.
Thank you, ma'am. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I do have a second. Any further discussion from anyone? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item E, Resolution 2024-54, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, to approve the purchase of 150 kilowatt emergency generator and automatic transfer switch. Ms. Hars. That's a big one.
Yes. So this is the emergency standby generator and the switch that will be for the new terminal building to provide the power during power outages. This is also 100% funded by an additional grant that we received from the FDOT.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Hars? Yes, sir.
Is it natural gas? The IT doesn't think my mouth's big enough. Is it natural gas?
Would you like me to weigh in on that?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we're looking at two options here. One, the easiest answer is maybe. Okay, so we're looking at two things. One we're looking at, we've got the prices of both the natural gas and diesel. Our desire is to be able to extend our natural gas line out to the airport and buy a natural gas run generator, because then I never have to worry about diesel. That's my desire. So, but a couple things have to fall in line, not stars, luckily, but some things, and then we'll be back to y'all for some additional improvements out of the airport in the gas line supply for not only this generator, but for some other vendors out there.
It currently stops at Monterey, right?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Okay.
But we're going to need some improvements to do it.
Right.
So my question is, we're going to buy a generator and not know what kind of fuel that generator is going to take, Kelly?
No.
Not yet.
No.
They're saving you, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, she doesn't. She probably knows, but there is a timeline that I have, and that if my natural gas project timeline does not hit the mark, we will purchase a diesel gas or diesel fuel generator. How's that?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know.
Don't buy a diesel generator if you're going to use gas.
Well, obviously not.
Thank you.
No better than that. I will say that the bid does say diesel.
Yes, but we've actually contacted the vendor, and now we have two quotes, one for natural gas,
Wonderful.
one for diesel, and we're prepared to go either way,
Perfect.
depending on what mark they meet. And obviously, I can't have the airport held up on a project that we won't be able to do unless I'm certain. So if I'm certain, we will get the natural gas. If we're uncertain, unfortunately, we may have to go with diesel.
Do we put our own natural gas lines in? Or does a contractor do that?
We put in our own natural gas lines. It's the line that we would tap into is actually down there at B&G.
Okay.
Monterey is insufficient gas supply, so Monterey actually wants to buy more gas, so that line would extend. We would do all the installation of the lines ourselves, which is not very complicated, but the station itself, that would be new, the gate station.
We have to have a gate station.
That would be professionally put in by a contractor.
Yeah, I knew if we needed a gate station, it would. I just didn't know we needed one. Wow. So that's a big project, especially if you got to go all the way from B&G, because that's a long way.
We already have a proposal and everything in line. Of course, we have to bring it back to you. The key piece, what we're waiting on is funding. So we have a potential buyout for another thing, and if that money were to be freed up, then nobody has to put any capital into it, and I think that's really the big holdup, is just trying to make sure that that piece falls into place.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other questions for staff?
I have a question. Is there currently a generator at the airport for the old hangar?
Yes, ma'am.
And what will that remain for the old, or sorry, not
Yes.
the old hangar, but the old
The old terminal
terminal?
building.
Thank you.
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am. That'll stay there with that building.
With that building. Second question: what are the annual maintenance costs on the generators? Just out of curiosity, I just don't know.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that, but we can get that information for you.
Well, maybe Mr. Barber could help.
Well, I'm thinking about all the other
Actually,
ones
I can help.
that are at the
Maybe
police
Mayor can help.
station.
I've had a gas generator for 15 years with an automatic transfer switch, and the maintenance is simply, you got to change the battery every now and then, got to change the oil. It's just like a car maintenance, and it has been very reliable.
Cool. I mean, I know we have them at the police station and we have them at the other terminal. I don't know. Somebody ought to know what we do with those. If hopefully we're doing something. So that we have them back here too, for that matter.
We do. We have a maintenance program, and the mayor's correct. The maintenance is a lot lower on it. The police department, to be clear, they do have a diesel generator.
Yeah, I can tell by looking at it.
But the one
It's
benefit for storm hazard mitigation is clearly the refueling problem. And so, of course, with
Right.
the natural gas here at City Hall, we don't have
Sure.
to worry about the logistics of the refueling.
Right. Obviously, natural gas is better if we could get it. Without a doubt. Any other questions for Ms. Hars or anybody else? All right, then we will entertain a motion for Resolution 2024-54.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2024-54.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any additional questions? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. At this time, we're back to public participation again. If you have anything that you would like to address this council about, please approach the podium. Yes, sir. Come on up. If you will, state your name again for the record.
I don't want to speak as a representative of my company, I'm Meridian Healthcare, but I've attended Alan Alexander. I do live in Bronson, sorry.
You're good.
And I attend a lot of town council meetings. And I know everybody struggles with growth, whether it be positive or negative, and it's managed and unmanaged growth. I want to compliment, and I've watched Williston in the past 7 or 8 years. When I moved here and I was a full-time RV person, that it has absolutely been managed. And I really appreciate you folks being a neighbor to Bronson, because we don't have a whole lot of stuff there that we often have to drive either to Chiefland, and I do see a lot of difference between those two cities.
Yes, sir.
But it's a pleasure being your neighbor and having a robust discussion about what's happening with the airport and the town, the water, because it's going to happen.
Right.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
I will say we love Miss Sue, and we've gotten your city manager, and she's got where she attends a lot of different meetings with us because
Yes.
we've encouraged her to do that, and we enjoy her company as well.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much. I'll pass that on.
Yes, sir. We appreciate it. Anyone else at this time? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Yes, ma'am. Come on in. You will state your name for the record.
No, ma'am.
I have two things I want to
State your name.
Do I have to? He didn't state his name, but
He-
anyway,
he did- he
Crystal
did state-
Wilcox,
he did say his
Crystal
name.
Wilcox. Okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
I have a complaint about.
I still need your name.
I did say it, Crystal Wilcox. I said it.
I didn't hear it. I'm
yes,
sorry.
ma'am. It's okay. We know each other a long time.
I know we do, but it has to be on the
Even-
recording.
Okay. So, areas was not being cut with the grass with the fire. What I'm trying to say, the fire hydrant. They're bad. Everyone, not just. I don't want to use the word across the track, but
Well, give us an
those
example.
need to be cut. Okay, and also
Give us an area. Tell us the exact area so we can go look at it.
everywhere. 10th Street, where she
So
lives at.
Southwest 10th Street.
Yes, ma'am.
Southwest or southeast?
Both. South.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it's bad. Just take a drive. It's everywhere. I don't know all the neighborhoods over by the middle school. The grass is like terrible over there. Terrible. It has not been cut
Okay.
this year.
The middle school's not in the city limits.
Okay, well, yeah, I figured that out.
Yeah.
But, and also down on Southeast 10th Street, the city just fixed the water. But it's busted again, and right before the stop sign when you go down in there, it's been like that for months.
But the stop
But-
sign's down?
No,
Is that
ma'am,
what
the
you're
stop
saying?
sign is not down.
Okay.
It's the water leak. But
Oh.
down to the next stop sign between houses, it's bad. I'm surprised.
When you say bad, you mean the grass?
No, now I'm talking about the water.
You're
With the
confusing
water,
me.
the water's busted. They fixed it.
Oh, where the water's
and they
leaking.
never came back and did nothing to the road. Now the road is like really
It's
bad.
washed
I took
out.
some pictures and brought it, so
Okay,
yeah,
so we need to look at Southeast 10th Street. Is that right?
Yes. And Carol Street.
I'm looking at her, but she's not looking at me.
Eighth
Is that
Street.
right?
Eighth
Southeast
Street.
10th?
Yeah, 10th
8th,
Street
Southeast,
and
the Southeast
8th Street,
8.
where the grass is like really bad.
Y'all making notes back there? Any particular block? Like is the 400 block, the 500 block, 600 block?
I know my street. It's 8th Street. Southeast 8th Street for her.
So the whole street. Okay. Do we cut road right-of-ways, or do people who live there cut the road right-of-ways?
It's not the road right away. It's a the detention pond.
Oh, it's a retention pond.
Okay.
Now we're getting
half-
somewhere.
Just a small bit of it. It's this big, but that much has been cut.
Is it a city retention pond, or is it
Yes.
for a
They said
housing?
They came and cut it, but they didn't go down in there. They didn't cut around it. I'm done.
No, I'm just trying to locate it so we can find it.
Ma'am, I read it. That's okay.
Okay. Do we have a retention pond in that area?
On the southeast side, I'm not aware of a retention pond. We have the
Southeast.
south. I know that we have retention ponds on the northeast side.
Okay.
But I'll look into it.
If someone will go and look
check
at
up on it.
Southeast 8th
Absolutely.
through 9th and 10th, if you
Yes,
will.
ma'am.
Just
Yeah,
look
absolutely.
at and they didn't give me a block, so look at all of it.
If it's southeast 8th, then it's got to be the 100 to 400 block just past the railroad tracks in the Williston Peanut.
Okay.
We'll
All
look
right.
at it. Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha. All right. Anybody else?
As you cross the road.
All right. Wait,
on the left side, as soon as you cross the railroad track, it's on the left side, around that curve. It's like right there.
So do you turn the first road to the
Yes,
right?
ma'am. The first road to the left.
To the left.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then that's northeast, not southeast. If you go across the red road track, turn
It's
left.
on the
That's
left.
northeast,
It's
right?
on the left. Okay, northeast.
That's northeast instead of southeast.
So are you talking about the retention pond right there next to the Bell Bondmans, or the greenhouse
down.
that is further down the road?
So it's northeast, right? Okay, so it's northeast, not southeast. But you can look at both sides.
So I know the retention pond on the northeast side, but I think they're really indicating it's the southeast. So you're saying when you come over from Williston Peanut on the track, if you make a left.
No, she said when you. When you go across
Soon as you cross the railroad track, it's on the left.
on US
Okay.
27,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's definitely the northeast.
that's northeast, not southeast.
Okay, I
Yeah.
understand.
I mean, that's why I ask questions about where it is, because we have to be in the right area to find your problem.
Just build a tent, because they're about to get a tent like this highlight.
No, we're good. I know. It's all right. And we'll go look at both sides, so don't worry about it. We'll look at all of them. Anybody else at this time? Anybody up here? Any announcements to be made by anyone? What you got going on? Anybody know of anything?
I have announcements.
Go ahead.
Don't forget the basketball. It's not a parade. It's an escort. Next Saturday, not this coming up Saturday, but the next Saturday, last Saturday of the month, starting at 10, right here. There'll be food trucks.
Oh, that's
Mayor.
on the 27th?
The last Saturday, up from 10 to about 2, I think is what
Yep,
we were
that's the
doing.
27th. That's when we're doing the basketball thing?
Yes.
10 to 2. April 27th.
And then the only other question that I did have was still about the Little League. Did we get anything done on trying to help out with special writing the...
So we are working on this. If you're talking about the irrigation meters and the special rate for that,
Electrical,
that's one of the things that Donald talked about we're working on.
You missed that at the very beginning.
Okay.
I will tell you that the answer to your question is that the plan that I had will not work. So so I'm going back to that one. But I'm used to being told no by the city attorney. So
When the city attorney says no, you
I've
can't
gotten
do it.
comfortable with it.
Well, city attorney, please try. Hard
Always
as you
do.
can.
Yeah, we'll have to discuss that.
And if I may remind everyone that Law Enforcement Memorial is on the 18th in Bronson at the courthouse. This is paying respects to law enforcement officers that have given their life. And if you have the time, I know it's an inconvenient time in the middle of a workday, but these men did not give their life conveniently. So thank you.
And Miss Latricia's not here, but I know if she was, she would remind us that the National Day of Prayer is May the 2nd at 12 noon at our pavilion. So you may want to put that on your calendar as well. Anybody else know of anything else? Oh, I'm seeing somebody.
Sorry, you mentioned Latricia, and she'd also be remiss if we didn't mention I think it's the Macon Bacon that's also
Yes.
coming up.
Yep,
and that's in a couple weeks or something, I think, too.
But I think it's at the Horseman's Park this time, if I remember right.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
And then,
so
but there's
Macon-
one out. It's Springfest. The Springfest is out here, I thought. Oh, never mind.
Oh, yeah, it was in March.
Springfest. Well, I'm sure it was a great event.
Yeah, the Spring Fest was in March, but the Macon Bacon Festival has moved from the park to the Horseman's Park. And I don't think it's this Saturday, I think it's next Saturday. Yeah, and Mr. Foster is doing that one as well. Premier Events is doing that. Yeah, all right, one more call. If not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion for adjournment.
I second.
I have a motion and a second for adjournment. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you for coming and staying with us.